Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots parting ways today after an historic 24-year run. Former New England Patriots quarterback Tom Brady posting this heartwarming tribute to his former coach, calling him a great leader and the best coach in the history of the NFL. Brady going on to say that he wouldn't have been the player he was without Bill Belichick, adding that he is forever grateful. And Bill Belichick's next coaching chapter could keep him on the East Coast. The Washington Commanders and Atlanta Falcons are being tossed around as possible landing spots. Look at those. There are 8 NFL head coaching vacancies this year, each of them different, each with its own unique challenges. Steve Wyche is the chief national reporter at the NFL Network. Steve, Bill Belichick out after 24 years with the Pats. Can he beat the coaching curse? I'm thinking about people like Chuck Noll of the Steelers, Tom Landry of the Dallas Cowboys, legends who left and never came back. Is this the end?
No, not for Bill Belichick. I mean, this isn't a situation where he's retiring. He will coach again. We know he's less than 24 wins away from surpassing Don Shula as the winningest head coach of all time. And some teams are absolutely doing their homework on him. I know for sure the Atlanta Falcons have been doing their homework on Bill Belichick. I've heard of the Carolina Panthers. Every team is going to do their homework on him. Now, is he necessarily at the top of the list for the coaching search? Probably not. But every team has to at least explore the greatest who's ever done it.
Steve, there are 8 coaching vacancies, as we pointed out, but is this just about coaching, or do those teams also have to make him the GM?
That's a great question. You heard Robert Kraft today at his news conference say that division of power was something that was discussed in their postseason kind of exit meeting. Sorry about the light shining through here right now, but that is something that they discussed and just decided it was time regardless. Now, some teams may say, we want a GM, and he may say, you can have a GM, but I still have the ultimate authority. Other teams may say, you can have whatever you want. We'll give you whatever you want to get you here. So it just depends on those teams' principles. You heard me mention the Atlanta Falcons. They do have a general manager in Terry Fontenot, but he's not leading the coaching search. They said that he's giving input on the coaching search. So, again, it just depends on the structure of the team, how badly they want him and what they will do to acquiesce to his demands.
Steve, the last season for Bill Belichick did not go well, and that is perhaps the understatement, losing to the Jets in the final game. How much of the blame goes on Bill Belichick, and how much of it was just the hand that he was dealt? Because Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay and won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, the one who was dealing that hand was him. I mean, that's the thing. Bill did hold all the cards, since we're using that analogy right there. So he's the one who drafted the players, and his drafts over the past 7 or 8 years have not been good. Okay, when Tom Brady decided it was time for him to go, I think that was a mutual parting. I think they kind of exhausted all their resources. But remember, they had a high draft pick, and they used it to select Mac Jones out of the University of Alabama. Mac Jones had a very good rookie season. But following that rookie season, his offensive coordinator, Josh McDaniels, got a head coaching job with the Raiders. And then they replaced him with 2 defensive coaches. Well, one defensive coach in Matt Patricia and a special teams coach in Joe Judge. And that's when things went absolutely sideways last year. Mac Jones took a step back. The offense took a step back. And it was just really a mess. And now they went out this year and they hired a new offensive coordinator in Bill O'Brien. But things just continued to get worse. So again, when you're talking about being dealt a bad hand, he was the dealer. They've not chosen the right players. They've not developed players the way they did. And when you go back to the old saying, was it Brady or was it Belichick? Well, Brady went on to win a Super Bowl with a different organization, while Belichick went on to lose games in New Orleans. And again, that's not taking anything from Bill Belichick because he's the greatest to ever do it. But he needed that special quarterback to help him along the way.
I got to ask you this because I love to put you guys on the record. 31 days to go now before the Super Bowl. Who's going to be there and who's going to win?
Oh, man. Well, that's a great question. Look, it's very hard right now not to think that the number 1 seeds, the Baltimore Ravens of the AFC and the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC, won't be playing against each other. Look, things happen all the time that can change this up, but those teams just look to be so much better than every other team in their respective conferences. Who's going to win? Again, hard to say, but the Ravens The Ravens look pretty tough. Their quarterback, Lamar Jackson, is probably going to win the Most Valuable Player award. Their defense just looks really, really impressive, to say the least, right now. So since you're putting me on the spot, that's what I'll say, but what do I know?
So you're saying both Harbaugh brothers could wind up winning championships this year, and does that mean Jim goes to the NFL?
I like that.
You like that?
Remember the last time the Ravens won, it was John Harbaugh against Jim Harbaugh when Jim was coaching the 49ers. I do think Jim Harbaugh is going to be in the NFL. They're definitely exploring it. He won the national championship at Michigan on Monday. There's just too much smoke, so to speak. Now, is he linked to any team? I think he's linked to several, with the Raiders probably being the most pronounced team right now. But they're definitely exploring those options for him to return to the NFL. And the one thing about Jim Harbaugh, no matter where he's been, the University of San Diego, Stanford, Michigan, the 49ers, he has taken programs that were down and built them into champions. So he knows what he's doing, but there is kind of a shelf life with Jim Harbaugh as well.
I'm hoping my Washington Commanders are listening. I remember the glory days, and it seems so long ago. Steve Wyche, Chief NFL reporter with the NFL Network. Steve, thanks for being with us tonight.
Thanks for having me.